Nearly $500 million was allocated by the state of New York for its statewide broadband program. Its goal was to bring 100 megabits per second speeds to the majority of residents in the state and a minimum of 25 megabits per second to the most rural locations of the state, though the state was ambiguous when we asked for a definition of what most rural locations meant. According to the latest FCC data, broadband coverage for Allegheny and Cattaraugus counties are 72% and 79% respectively. The broadband program money was awarded in 3 phases to 33 different companies. One of those companies, Armstrong Communications, was awarded over $80 million to build out broadband to unserved and underserved areas in the Finger Lakes and Southern Tier. The deadline for completion of those projects was December 31st, 2018.
We definitely bought this house with the intention to live here and raise a family.
Katie Ehlers and her partner Cody Hurley bought a house in Franklinville recently. Having lived with broadband her whole life, she didn't think twice about the possibility of not having access. But when she found her dream home, there was no stopping her from moving in. But months later, the lack of news about broadband coming to their Franklinville home has been a source of frustration.
I feel like everyone should just have equal access. It's not a difficult thing to achieve. It's just a money grab at this point, I feel like. I mean, they're not, the providers we have currently are providing us with a crummy service, and we pay $300 a month for all of it.
Katie and Cody subscribe to HughesNet satellite internet, which does advertise 25 megabits per second service, but the multiple times we tested the connection on a clear January night, and that's not even coming close to what the federal government or New York State consider broadband.
I just kind of dislike the fact that people have this idea that living in a rural area means that you don't have access to those things.
It's not just broadband services that are nearly non-existent in parts of Western New York. It's other services like landline phones and cell coverage.
This is where if I'm working in the garage, I got to figure out how to take this apart. I got to go down the road, see how to do it, come back home. And if that's not right, I got to go back down the road. I mean, there's been multiple times where she's gone down the road just to make a phone call for her job and then comes back home.
I reached out to HughesNet to comment on their service, but have not heard back. New York State Senator George Borrello covers most of the district that Armstrong is supposed to be building broadband in.
When I met with Armstrong recently, and certainly I took them to task on this, and they brought up some challenges that I understand that they're facing, one of them being access to the poles that are needed to run the fiber, and these poles are owned by other companies, and they're negotiating prices to access those poles, which have become excessive in some cases, according to them.
According to state documents, Armstrong Communications also invested $37 million of their own capital into the New York State broadband program projects.
I think that they were ambitious in this, and I think you're treading on a lot of new territory. You know, as a business owner myself, you know, when you're bidding on something, you do the best you can to estimate the costs and to try to be realistic and conservative on the challenges. And perhaps Armstrong wasn't conservative enough on its estimates.
According to Armstrong's website, you can see how much of the project has been completed. But you can also see that 2/3 of the project is incomplete, and according to Armstrong's latest update, Katie and Cody are not going to be getting that 100 meg connection until possibly third quarter 2020.
There almost isn't a day that goes by that I don't hear from a constituent, whether it's by phone or email, saying that broadband access needs to be a high priority for our state.
I've called Armstrong Communications 6 times in the last week and sent 3 emails to try and get answers about their project. They have not responded to my requests. In Franklinville, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.